Hey everybody, just doing a midday update like I talked about, like I wanted to do. So here it is. Market is nuts today. So we had CPI push up the market, right? So let me get my marker out. Whoever watched with me this morning, we had a large move higher, right? With single prints up here. And then I said we needed to hold this resistance level, right? We didn't. And what happened, right? We cleaned these single prints, went past the most traded price of the year and the week, all the way down to here to these single prints, almost to yesterday's lows. And now we're getting bought back up, right? Well, on the NASDAQ, what did we do, right? We opened here, we opened there, and we came up, pushed down, came back up, pushed down, right? So, like, now we're above it. So, NASDAQ is definitely stronger, okay? Not real strong, but stronger. Holding, cleaned almost all these singles from the overnight, and then kind of never touched the most traded price of the week, right? It kind of just never got there. That's kind of where we stand right now. This market's nuts because I was in a couple trades. I was looking to go long the Qs, but then off this, like we got weak off the open, and then it just didn't hold this level, so I didn't. So then I was looking at the SPY and a gamma level of 413, and it was holding it, so I got long, and then that huge selling came not too shortly after and wiped my stop out. So this market's been very hard to read, very hard to read. Um, so let's look at the internals just so I can show you why it's so hard to read. So if we look at the ticks, they're very compressed. Look at the ticks of the Nasdaq. I mean, 415 and like 500. Only opened up with 1,000 ticks, and then we came off. So very compressed ticks, which tells me we're not in for a big move today. This is the nicey, very compressed ticks as well. Okay, so that's one nod to we probably don't do much today. Okay, now let's look at the breath bubbles. So there's more selling volume in the nicey, but that 1 to 1 is basically benign, and the Nasdaq is green, so there's more volume going into up stocks, but very only slightly 1.5 to 1. So that's very in the middle. Okay, so then we go to the sectors, right? Four largest sectors. Infotech's up zero point 0.3. That's not monster. Okay, healthcare's down zero point 0.3. Financials is down 1.1% off the or 1.5% off the open. That's pulling the S&P down, right? Consumer discretionary is also down 0.45. Industrials is down almost 1%. Communications is almost down 1%, right? So these are all going to weigh, right, on the S&P. Nasdaq really is going to be only some infotech and consumer discretionary and communications. Okay, but just think of the Nasdaq as this part, infotech. Okay, now if you look at um, the ADD of the S&P 500, it's at -7. -7. That is like right in the middle. That's parity. That's just as many up stocks as down stocks. See what I'm saying? Parity. Okay, the weighted AD, which is below zero, is usually down, right? So this comprises of the whole S&P 500. So I've explained this before. The bars are weighted, so they follow the weighted sectors how they're weighted. See, I have here 28, 25% infotech, 14% healthcare. Fine. These are how these are weighted, right? So the weighted though is not as weak as the overall unweighted sectors. Like if you weighted all the sectors equally, they're down more. Why? Because materials is down big, energy is down big, industrials, but they're not the heavyweights, right? So you need these bars to be weak, weaker than this in order to really get a weak market. So that also tells you that we're not as weak. Okay. And then we got the NASDAQ 100. Okay. Out of 100 stocks, 41. Okay. So 39. So that's not huge either. Okay. Here's 0, which would be parity. It's plus 39. So overall, the market's very benign. Whenever you have these breath bubbles at a 1 to 1, doesn't matter what the point is, it's very like hard for the market that's going to really move that high or move that low. Now, can it happen? It can happen, but generally it doesn't. The ticks are compressed. The breath bubbles right here are 1 to 1s. The sectors are mixed. The weighted AD has a divergence between the weighted and the unweighted, right? But you need the weighted is really the important thing. How these bars are, right? You want the bars past the white line, so that's a discrepancy, right? And then -4 in the ADD, advanced decline line, -0. That's in the middle. Okay, that's in the middle, and which means I feel like we're just gonna sit in the balance here. Now, as far as gamma levels, something very important to show you guys. Okay, starting with the SPX. Let me just make sure here. Let's start with the SPY. Okay, now the weekly and monthly flip point of gamma was at 411. Okay, we broke that. It's also a negative gamma level. We broke that. See how we flushed down, but we couldn't sustain it. We caught a bid right here, so that's a big support level in the SPY. It's being held right now. Okay, now these blue lines, what is that, right? That's yesterday's high and low. That's where we're at yesterday. We're at yesterday's highs. So look, this is the range. This blue is the range of yesterday. We're in yesterday's range right now. Okay, so that's even more what I'm saying is we might still balance, and the CPI number might just be a nothing, and we're balancing, right? Let's look at the next cues. Here's the monthly flip point and weekly flip point was 323. A negative gamma level if it went under. Well, when it hit first, it flushed, right? But then it couldn't sustain it. Dealers and market makers had to cover their shorts, and then look, you get the next bar that moved up. Okay, now the NASDAQ is more bullish, obviously, okay, because this is yesterday's highs right here, which was also the 323 right here, right under 323. So, but it held. So these flip points are very strong points they're also called vol triggers, okay? So then that next candle got pulled up, right? But we're right in the middle of the range, okay? So we're right in the middle of the range, but NASDAQ is stronger, okay? SPX, same thing, right? Well, the weekly flip point was broken right there, and then the monthly flip point was right here, see? Pushed right past it, and I was like, oh man, we could really flush if we go further, but then it couldn't sustain it. It held the weekly flip point, and now look, 4130 and 41. I'm sorry, 40. Yeah, let me see, 4130 and 4140 are the big positive gamma levels right now. Okay, so we're just going back and forth. And we go to the Dow. That also is right on the weekly flip point. Weaker though, right? Because of financials. Look at that. It's weaker. It went down and it's holding it, right? It looks different than the SPY and then the Qs. Okay. So these are just things I've been looking at. I don't know. I don't see much to see happening to today. I think this is all nothing. We have to wait for PPI. We can look at hourly chart just to give us an idea of the ES, right? So we can do that. So we can go to an hourly chart. And, you know, we have this monster level here. It's the most traded price of the year, 41.49. We're below it right now. But look how what we've done. We just went crisscrossed it. Crisscrossed it. You have 20 simple moving average here, a 50% Fibonacci. So from this move down, we retraced it, went past the 61.8, and now we're hanging around here in the middle, just in the middle of the muddle. It's like really not anything to note. Let's look at the Nasdaq. Okay, stronger obviously, especially from this low. I have that Fibonacci all the way up to here. Well, now it retraced to the 61.8, and now that's been broken. So I can actually get rid of that. It retraced at 100%. And we can see that we're above this resistance now. But we're kind of just balancing around this resistance level. So the Qs are definitely strong and went into the supply, sold off. But it's just like, I think the market doesn't even know what it wants right now. Okay. That's my midday update. If you're new, please subscribe if you haven't already. I think I'm probably not going to trade the rest of today based on what I saw. I actually took two losses. I took a long in the Qs as well when it was holding that resistance level, and it just, the volatility of the market, I was like, this is not this is not a good environment for me right now. This is just wasn't, the first trade with the SPY was looking good, so you're not going to win it all. But the volatility itself, just like, what am I going to do? Put another trade on? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so of course that's the update. Okay, of course, if you can give me a like, that'd be awesome. And then you have my Twitter, Gonzo709, and Gonzo709 Jersey, Instagram. So that's it for me, guys. That's it for the video. I will maybe jump on if there's anything to note, but I don't see nothing happening today. And I'm just going to wait for tomorrow, because this volatility and it being in the middle of the muddle with all the internals and how everything looks, it doesn't look like we're going to do anything today. Okay, a lot of volatility, but no real breakout per se. Even though Nasdaq looks strong, but if it was strong, it would have just kept going, right? So that's about it for me. Take it easy, everybody.